The moment I realized I wasn't invited to my own grandson's birthday party, everything inside me shifted and the woman I used to be finally woke up. Asterisk, before I begin, tell me where you're watching from. Drop your city or country below. And if you like stories that hit the heart, make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and keeps more stories coming your way. Asterisk, now, let me tell you how all of this started. Asterisk, I was sitting in my small but cozy living room in Portland, sipping tea and enjoying the rare calm of a Saturday morning. That's when my phone buzzed. It was my daughter, Lily. Usually, she called only when life had cornered her and she needed something. This time it wasn't a call, it was a text. And it didn't make sense at first glance. Asterisk, don't come. Emily wants to be the only grandmother at the party. Asterisk, I reread it twice. Then a third time. The room felt strangely quiet, like even the air around me was ashamed. My grandson Milo was turning 9. The party I had been excited about for weeks. The party I had just asked her about that morning. The party I had paid for. Asterisk, I stared at the message for a few seconds longer. Then, for reasons I still can't explain, I started laughing. A small, stunned laugh at first, then a deeper one. Not because it was funny, but because it was unbelievable. Asterisk, but to understand why this single message flipped my world upside down, I need to take you back a few weeks. Because it didn't start with Lily uninviting me. It started with her calling me in tears. Asterisk, 3 weeks earlier. I had been finishing my morning coffee when my phone rang. Lily's name flashed across the screen. My stomach tightened. She never called just to chat anymore. Asterisk, Mom, she sobbed as soon as I answered. I don't know what to do. Carter lost his job. Asterisk, I closed my eyes. Not again. This was the third layoff he'd had in 4 years. Somehow, it was never his fault. Always politics, budget cuts, or unfair management. Asterisk, what happened this time? I asked gently. Asterisk, she sniffled. They let go of almost the whole department. Carter said he was one of their best workers. Of course he did. And the party. She continued, voice trembling. Mom, Milo's party is in 3 weeks. We already paid deposits. Venue, bouncy house, catering, decor. Everything. We can't cancel. He'll be crushed. I don't know how we're going to pay for the rest. Here it comes, I thought. How much? I asked. Asterisk 5,000, she whispered. Mom, please. I swear we'll pay you back. Asterisk, how many times had I heard that line? The wedding loan that magically disappeared. The temporary help for their mortgage. Emergency car repairs, holidays, gifts, babysitting, last-minute requests. I never complained because I loved my daughter. And I adored Milo. Asterisk, but $5,000. That wasn't pocket change. That was a chunk of my retirement. Still, all I could see was Milo's sweet face, the boy who hugged me like he'd never let go. Asterisk, I'll cover it. I heard myself say. Asterisk, Lily cried harder from relief. From desperation, maybe both. Mom, thank you. This party is going to be amazing. I told myself I was doing it for Milo, only for him. The next couple of weeks were quiet. Lily texted updates about custom decorations, themed stations, an animal corner with baby goats, and a cake so beautiful people will cry. She sounded thrilled, but something felt off. It wasn't excitement for Milo. It was excitement for how she would look hosting such an extravagant event. Asterisk, and then she said the line that made my gut twist. Emily's going to be there. So everything has to be perfect. You know how much she likes to outdo people? Asterisk, Emily, my ex-son-in-law's mother. Wealthy, polished, and constantly comparing our families as if motherhood were a competition she needed to win. Asterisk, I brushed it off. Until 3 days before the party, when Lily called again. Asterisk, Mom, can you pick up the cake? They need payment on pickup, and I'll be too busy preparing everything. Asterisk, another request. Another expense. Still, I agreed. Asterisk, but when I asked her what time I should arrive at the party as a guest, she hesitated. Just for a moment. Barely noticeable. But mothers know their children's silences as well as their words. Asterisk, well, you'll already be there helping. She laughed awkwardly. That was the first real crack. The second came the morning of the party when I called her again. Asterisk, Mom. She said slowly. Emily and I talked about it. She thinks it'll confuse the kids to have too many grandmothers at the party. Asterisk, too many grandmothers? I repeated, asterisk, she thinks. Maybe it's better if she handles the grandmother stuff today. Asterisk, Lily, I asked carefully, are you telling me not to come? Her silence answered for her, and that was the moment everything changed. Asterisk, when Lily finally spoke. Her voice was soft, almost childlike. Asterisk, Mom, please try to understand. Emily thinks it'll just make things simpler. Asterisk for who? I asked, keeping my voice calm even though something inside me sank like a stone. Asterisk, well, another pause. A longer one. For everyone. Asterisk, everyone. Everyone except me, apparently. Asterisk, I didn't shout. I didn't scold. I didn't try to guilt her. I just sat there holding the phone, staring at the sunlight filtering through my curtains as the last bit of illusion fell away. Asterisk, so, I said slowly, I'm not welcome at the party I paid for. Asterisk, it's not like that, she insisted quickly. Emily just thought the kids might get confused, you know? With two grandmothers and Asterisk's children know who loves them, I said softly. They don't get confused by kindness. She didn't answer that. Mom, please don't be mad, she whispered. You're always so reasonable. I knew you'd understand. Reasonable? That word stung more than the disinvitation itself. Reasonable meant quiet. Reasonable meant harmless. Reasonable meant the one who won't cause trouble. Asterisk, in other words, it's a perfect person to push aside. I'm not mad, I said truthfully, because anger wasn't what I felt. No, what washed through me was something colder, steadier, sharper. The kind of clarity that comes only when you realize you've been taken for granted for far too long. Asterisk, we can celebrate with Milo next weekend, Lily added brightly, as if offering me a consolation prize for losing a competition I never signed up for. Just the three of us. Asterisk, I knew she said it with good intentions, but it only made the truth clearer. They wanted me invisible when it mattered, publicly at present, when it was convenient, privately. Asterisk, I see. I said, asterisk, Mom, she said, relieved. You're the best. I'll send you pictures. Asterisk, after we hung up, I sat in silence, holding my phone in both hands. For a moment, I felt like I was looking at my life from somewhere outside of it. Like watching a stranger accept being dismissed again and again without protest. Asterisk, I thought about the years I'd spent helping Lily and Carter, the thousands of dollars, the babysitting, the errands, the quiet sacrifices, the constant giving, the constant forgiving. I thought about the woman I used to be, the woman who ran an entire office, who kept everything running because she was competent and respected. Where had she gone? Asterisk, as the realization settled. Something inside me straightened its spine. Asterisk, I picked up my phone again this time, with purpose. Asterisk, there was a number I hadn't dialed in years. A man named Mark Sanderson. Not a friend, not a coworker, no. Mark was an old acquaintance from my years at the law office, a private investigator with a reputation for being meticulous, discreet, and brutally honest. Asterisk, I didn't call him because I wanted revenge. I called him because I wanted truth delivered at the exact moment truth would matter most. Asterisk, when he answered. Sounded surprised, but pleased. Asterisk, Helen? Haven't heard from you in ages. What can I do for you? Asterisk, I need a professional, I said. Someone who can be present at my grandson's birthday party today? Asterisk, present how? He asked, intrigued. Asterisk, as my representative. Asterisk, there was a beat of silence before he chuckled. Not your usual request. Asterisk, no, I agreed. But necessary. Asterisk, I explained exactly what I needed. A calm, polite, well-dressed individual who would attend the party on my behalf, not confrontational, not dramatic, just present. Present and factual. A person who would make sure that every adult in that room knew, without any yelling or theatrics, that the celebration they were enjoying had been paid for by the grandmother who was told to stay home. Mark didn't interrupt. When I finished, he exhaled softly. You want someone to deliver the truth without saying a single untrue word. Precisely. I can do that. What time? Arrive around 2:30, I said. I'll cover any rush fees. All right, he said, voice crisp with professionalism. It'll be done. After that call, I dialed the event center. When the receptionist answered, cheerful and unaware of the storm unfolding, introduced myself. I'm the grandmother who funded the Morrison party today, I said. I want to confirm some arrangements. She paused. Of course. How can I assist you? I spent 10 minutes giving instructions. Nothing dramatic, just clarifications. My representative would check in upon arrival. He would have a gift for Milo, and he would need access to the host area. When I hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long, long time. Control. Not manipulation, not threats. Just control over my own place in the world. The final call I made was to Carter. I knew he'd be rushing around with last-minute tasks, but I wanted him to hear it from me. Carter, I said evenly. I won't be able to attend Milo's party. His relief was so loud, so obvious that he didn't even bother to hide it. Oh well, that's probably for the best. Stammered. But, I continued, I'll be sending someone in my place. A representative. He'll arrive around 2:30. What? He sputtered. Who? Why would you ? You'll recognize him, I said calmly, and you'll understand. Before he could protest, I ended the call. This time, I wasn't the reasonable grandmother. I was simply a woman standing up for herself. By the time the afternoon sun slipped across my living room floor, I felt strangely calm to calm. Maybe like the kind of calm that comes after a storm has blown through and taken half the roof with it, leaving nothing but clarity behind. At 2:15 p.m. My phone buzzed with a text from Mark. Arrived. Package delivered. Proceeding as discussed. Package. That made me laugh quietly. The package was the gift I'd chosen for Miloa. Bright red, remote control stunt helicopter I knew he'd flip over. I imagined Mark walking in with it, dressed sharply, introducing himself with that politely neutral voice of his. I could almost see the adults' puzzled expressions. But instead of imagining the scene, I refocused on something far more peaceful. I poured myself a cup of tea, opened the Saturday crossword, and settled into my favorite chair. The world outside looked bright and unbothered, as if the universe was reminding me, you're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to choose yourself. My phone started ringing. Lily, I let it go to voicemail. 2 minutes later, it rang again. Still Lily, I kept my eyes on the crossword. A. Text pinged. Then another, then 3 more. I didn't pick up my phone until I finished the crossword. 17 across included. Funny enough, the clue was fair consequence. 7 letters. The answer came instantly. Just as, when I finally flipped my phone over. The screen was covered in notifications. Lily, Mom, please call me. What did you do? This isn't funny. You need to call me now. Carter, Helen. This is unbelievable. We need to talk right away. What you've done is unacceptable. And one from an unknown number. This is Emily Caldwell. I believe there has been a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Of course, that's what she'd call it. Right as I was about to set my phone down again, another call came in, this time from a number I didn't recognize. I hesitated, then answered asterisk, "Hello, Mrs. Morrison. This is Rebecca from the Riverside Event Center." Her voice was professional, but bubbling with barely contained amusement. "I just wanted to inform you that your representative has arrived. Everything is going exactly as you described." Asterisk good, I said quietly. "And how are the hosts reacting?" She paused, and then I heard it. A stifled giggle. "Well, let's just say your daughter looks rather startled, and Emily seems quite taken aback." Asterisk, "I imagine so." Asterisk, "And the birthday boy," she continued, "is very excited. He's been asking your representative a lot of questions." That, more than anything, made my chest soften. "Thank you," I said sincerely. "Please let him continue as planned." Asterisk, I hung up and allowed myself a small smile. No yelling, no confrontations, no scenes. Just truth. Right out in the open, finally, asterisk, 20 minutes later, my phone rang again. This time, I recognized the voice instantly. "Nana." Milo chirped, sounding breathless with excitement. Asterisk, my heart lifted. "Hi, sweetheart." Asterisk, "There's a man here who says he knows you. He brought me a helicopter and said you picked it out." Asterisk, "That's right," I said softly. "Do you like it?" Asterisk, "I love it," he said, and I could hear kids screaming joyfully in the background. He told everyone, "You're the one who made my whole party happen." Mommy got all red. "Oh, Lily, of course she did. Are you having fun?" I asked. Asterisk, "The best time," he replied. "There are baby goats and a giant bounce house, and the cake is huge. Thank you, Nana." Asterisk, "You're welcome, sweetheart. You deserve the best birthday." Asterisk, "When are you coming? I want to show you the goats." Asterisk, my throat tightened. "I can't be there today, honey. But my friend is there, so, I'm thinking of you." Asterisk, "Oh, okay. I love you. Nana. Double quotes, asterisk, I love you too." Asterisk, when he hung up, the phone rang almost instantly again. "This time, Lily?" And I answered. She didn't even say hello. Asterisk, "What did you do?" She hissed, her voice sharp and shaky. Asterisk, "I sent someone to represent me." I said calmly. "I thought I made that clear." Asterisk, "You sent a private investigator to my child's birthday party." Asterisk, "He's not there to investigate," I replied. "He's there to represent me politely, truthfully, and professionally." Asterisk, "This is humiliating." She snapped. "Emily is furious. Carter's parents are asking questions. And Milo keeps telling everyone you paid for everything." Asterisk, "Well," I said lightly, "I did." She let out a sharp breath, half anger, half panic. "You're embarrassing us." Asterisk, "No," I corrected gently. "I'm simply making sure the truth isn't hidden." Asterisk, This is too far. She STAMMERED. Asterisk, Lily. I said, my voice soft but firm. "You told me not to come, so I didn't. But I will not disappear to make space for someone else's pride." Silence stretched between us, heavy and long. Then, in a small voice I hadn't heard since she was a teenager, she whispered, Asterisk, "You planned this?" Asterisk, "No." I said, "You planned it when you uninvited me." I simply responded. Lily didn't speak right away. I could hear the distance in her breathing, the way she was trying to steady herself, but failing miserably. When her voice finally returned, it was thin and trembled at the edges. Asterisk, "You made a scene at my son's birthday party," she whispered. Asterisk, "No." I corrected gently. I kept my distance. I respected your wishes. I stayed home. Your discomfort isn't caused by anything I did today. It's caused by what led you to uninvite me in the first place. Asterisk, "I didn't mean for it to be like this," she said, her voice cracking. I just thought. Emily said asterisk. "There it is," I interrupted softly. Emily said. Asterisk, that name was becoming its own character in this story-looming, opinionated, territorial ... asterisk. "You let another woman decide where I stand in my own grandson's life," I continued. "And now you're upset that the truth is visible." Asterisk, you're twisting things, she snapped, desperation sharpening her tone. That man is telling everyone what you paid. People are judging us. Asterisk, people aren't judging you, Lily, I said calmly. They're seeing the situation for what it is. Asterisk, she sucked in a breath. Tell him to leave. Asterisk, I can't. Asterisk, you can't or you won't. Asterisk, won't, I said plainly. Asterisk, the silence that followed felt heavy, like the moment before a dam breaks. Asterisk, I can't believe you'd do this to me, she whispered. Voice full of wounded disbelief. Asterisk, and I can't believe you'd remove me from Milo's birthday, like I'm an inconvenience. Asterisk, she started crying. Mom, you ruined everything. Asterisk, I funded everything. I corrected. But what happened today? That was the consequence of choices you made long before this morning. Asterisk, I expected more arguing, more accusations, more panic. But instead, she hung up. Asterisk, it was nearly 4:30 when my phone rang again this time. Mark's name blinking on the screen. I answered immediately. Asterisk, well? I asked Asterisk Helen. He said, sounding equal parts amused and satisfied. I think that's the most interesting birthday party I've ever attended. Asterisk, tell me. Asterisk, I arrived right on schedule. The event coordinator greeted me like we planned, very professional. Then she escorted me to the host area and announced that I was the representative of the grandmother who sponsored the celebration. Asterisk, and the reaction. I asked. Asterisk. Oh, priceless, he chuckled. Your daughter froze. The son-in-law started mumbling about confusion or mistake. But the other grandmother, the elegant one with the expensive jewelry, asterisk, Emily, I supplied. Asterisk, double quotes, yes, Emily, he said. Well, she marched over like she owned the place, chin high, demanding an explanation. I could picture it perfectly. So, he continued, I explained that I was attending on behalf of the grandmother who made this day financially possible, since she had been asked not to join the festivities in person. Asterisk, a warmth spread quietly through my chest. Not joy, just recognition, validation. Asterisk, and, he added, I made sure to be polite. Extremely polite. Every word delivered calmly. That seemed to irritate her the most. Asterisk, what about the guests? Asterisk, oh, they were incredibly curious, he said. Some of the parents asked questions. I answered honestly. I read the timeline, the dates, the amount. Nothing exaggerated, nothing harsh, just facts. Asterisk, and Milo, I asked, unable to keep the softness from my voice. Asterisk, that kid's a bright light, he said warmly. He followed me around for half the party. Loved the helicopter. Told everyone it was from you. My throat tightened. And the family? I asked. Asterisk. Well, Mark said. Emily stormed off at one point, muttering about boundaries and respect. Your son-in-law tried to spin the story, but the parents weren't buying it. I almost laughed at that. And your daughter? Mark paused. Helen, she looked shaken, like she'd been holding a balloon full of excuses for years, and someone finally popped it. That image hit me harder than expected. Anything else? I asked quietly. Asterisk, one thing, he added. Some of the other parents were talking after I left. A few said something along the lines of, it's awful to exclude someone who's done so much. You might have more allies than you think. Asterisk, for a moment. I had no words. Thank you, Mark, I said finally. Happy to help, he replied. Send me your email. I'll forward all the photos I took. Asterisk, after we hung up, I set my phone down and exhaled slowly. A long, steady breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding for years. Asterisk, for the first time in a long while. I didn't feel small. I didn't feel erased. I felt present. Asterisk, and I knew, even before my doorbell rang, that this wasn't the end of the storm. It was the beginning of something much bigger. Asterisk, because storms don't end quietly. Asterisk, it changed landscapes. Asterisk, the doorbell rang just as the sun dipped low enough to cast a pale orange glow across my living room. I knew who it was even before I checked the peephole. Some moments announce themselves long before they arrive. Asterisk Lily stood on my porch in her party dress. Makeup smudged, hair slightly undone like the day had physically dragged her across its sharp edges. She looked smaller than usual. Not in height, but in certainty. I opened the door slowly. "Hi, Mom," she said, her voice thin. Asterisk, "Come in." Asterisk, she stepped inside like someone entering a hospital waiting room, bracing for news she didn't want to hear. She sank onto the couch, elbows on her knees, hands covering part of her face. Asterisk, for a few seconds, she said nothing. Then asterisk, Emily flew home tonight. Asterisk, I nodded. I'm sure today was uncomfortable for her. Asterisk, her head snapped up. Are you actually sorry she was hurt? Asterisk, I'm sorry she was upset, I said truthfully. I'm not sorry the truth came out. Asterisk, her jaw tightened. You humiliated me. Asterisk, no, I answered calmly. You put me in a humiliating position. I refuse to stay there. Asterisk. She let out a shaky sigh and leaned back. Everyone saw. They were watching us, whispering, judging. Asterisk, people always judge, I said. But today, they judged based on facts, not appearances. Asterisk, she rubbed her eyes, smearing mascara further. Mom, I didn't want this to blow up like it did. Asterisk, then why did you tell me not to come? She froze, as if the question itself pulled the rug out from under her. I don't know, she whispered finally. I thought it would be easier. Emily said that if she was the only grandmother, things would look more put together. She said having both of you there would make the family dynamic look messy. Asterisk, I exhaled slowly. Messy. That's the word she used to remove me from a party I paid for. Asterisk, it wasn't supposed to hurt you, Lily insisted, her voice quivering. I didn't want conflict between you and Emily. Asterisk, and instead, I said gently, you sacrificed me to avoid dealing with her. Asterisk, that landed hard. She had no defense for it. Asterisk, her eyes filled again. Mom, I'm sorry. I know you think I don't care. I do. I get overwhelmed. Between Carter's job, Emily's expectations, trying to make everything perfect. Asterisk, you've been trying so hard to keep everyone happy. I've finished for her. Everyone except me. Asterisk, that shattered something in her expression. Tears spilled over. Asterisk, you're right, she whispered. And I hate that you're right. She wiped her face with the back of her hand, then inhaled shakily. Mom, something else happened today. I waited after the whole situation. Carter told me something. He said just maybe we should start limiting how often you see Milo. My blood went cold, but my voice stayed steady. He said that Asterisk, he said the mixed messages weren't good for Milo, she explained, mimicking his tone. That we need consistency in the family. Asterisk, Lily, I said softly, that wasn't concern. That was manipulation. Her chin trembled. I know. Asterisk, for the first time since she walked through my door. She looked at me not as her mother, not as the grandmother she'd sidelined, but as someone she finally saw clearly. Asterisk, I don't know why I let things get this far, she whispered. I don't know when I stopped being myself. Asterisk, you didn't stop, I said gently. You just started bending to people who didn't deserve your flexibility. Asterisk, she stared at me for a long time. Really looked at me. Asterisk, Mom, she said quietly. What do you want from me? Asterisk, I took a breath. The kind you take right before saying something that might shift the room. Asterisk, I want to be treated like family, I said. Not like an optional extra. Not like a wallet with feelings you assume won't get hurt. Asterisk, her eyes glistened. I can change, she whispered. Asterisk, I believe you can, I said. But I won't go back to the version of myself who accepted being pushed aside. She nodded slowly, like each movement required more strength than she currently possessed. I want to fix this, she said. But I don't know where to start. Asterisk, you start, I said gently, by admitting the choices you made, damned choosing differently next time. Asterisk, she lowered her face into her hands again. For a while, we sat in silence, not the hostile kind, but the heavy, honest kind that comes right before a shift. Finally, she looked up. Mom, I don't want to lose you. Asterisk, you won't, I said softly. But you will lose the version of me you used to take for granted. Asterisk, and in that moment something changed in her eyes. Not fear, not anger, but recognition. Asterisk, she finally saw me. Lily sat with her shoulders folded inward as if trying to make herself small enough to disappear into the couch. I could see the guilt in her posture, the confusion in her eyes. She wasn't just sad, she was unraveling the truth of her own choices in real time. And that is never a gentle process. Asterisk, Mom, she said finally, her voice low. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I thought I was managing everything, but I've just been reacting, trying to keep peace, trying to keep Carter calm, trying to make Emily approve of me. Asterisk, all while neglecting yourself, I added quietly, and neglecting the relationships that actually matter. Asterisk, she nodded, wiping her cheek. It's like I've been handing out pieces of myself to everyone except you. Asterisk, that's because you assumed I'd always stay, I said, not unkindly. You assumed I'd always understand, always forgive, always be the reasonable one. Asterisk, her lip trembled. I didn't mean to use you, asterisk, but you did. The admission between us settled like dust in sunlight, visible, undeniable. She leaned back and stared at the ceiling. I didn't expect the truth to show up at the party like that. Asterisk? That wasn't the truth showing up, I said softly. That was accountability. Her eyes flicked toward me, full of something like exhaustion mixed with dawning awareness. You know what's strange? She said when he introduced himself as your representative, I felt relief. For a moment. Asterisk, relief. Asterisk, she nodded. Because I knew you hadn't accepted being pushed aside, even though I had treated you horribly. Part of me was glad you didn't just disappear. Her honesty startled me. I think, she continued, I've been afraid of your disappointment for so long that I kept trying to avoid it even when it meant hurting you. I stayed silent, letting her speak. And Carter. He doesn't help, she whispered. He always complains about you. Says you interfere. Says you're too involved. Every time I try to defend you, he twists it until I feel guilty for even mentioning your name. Asterisk, my jaw tightened. Lily, that's not healthy. And it's not love. That's control disguised as concern. She looked down, letting that truth sting. And Emily. Lily sighed. She always treats me like some project she's perfecting. She's constantly comparing me to her other daughter-in-law. When I told her you were coming to the party, she said it would make the family dynamic look unstable. I should have pushed back. I know that. Asterisk, she doesn't get to define your family, I said. She doesn't get to decide who belongs. Asterisk, Lily swallowed hard. I know. For a long moment, we both sat with everything that had finally been said after years of silence. She took a breath. Mom, when did I become afraid of standing up for you? Asterisk, you're not afraid of standing up for me, I said. You're afraid of confronting the people you've given too much power. Her eyes shimmered again. I hate that you're right, she whispered. Asterisk, you can hate it, I said. As long as you change it, asterisk, I saw something shift in her, a subtle straighten of her spine. Like a tired bird remembering it still has wings. Asterisk, do you want to know what the worst part was today? She asked softly. It wasn't embarrassment. It wasn't the whispers. It wasn't even the look on Emily's face. Asterisk, what was it? Asterisk, Milo, she said, voice breaking. He kept asking where you were. And every time he looked around the room, searching for you, I felt sick. My heart clenched. He thought you forgot him, she whispered. He thought maybe you didn't want to come. And I realized I'm the one who made him feel that. Asterisk, I inhaled slowly. Then you know what you need to fix. Asterisk, she nodded vigorously through tears. I want him to know you didn't abandon him. I want him to know the truth. Asterisk, there's a difference between honesty and blame. I reminded her gently. When you explain it to him, don't make it about punishing yourself. Just tell him I love him and that adults sometimes make mistakes. Asterisk, she swallowed. I can do that. Asterisk and Lily, I added. Don't make promises to Milo that you can't keep. Change is not a speech. It's a pattern. Her eyes softened with a kind of quiet understanding. You know, she said, when I was little, you always told me that integrity shows up in the choices we make when no one is watching. Asterisk, I smiled faintly. I still believe that. Asterisk, well, she said, wiping her face one more time. I want to start choosing differently. Asterisk, she looked at me then not as the mother she had pushed aside, not as the woman she took for granted, but as someone she now recognized she needed to rebuild trust with. Asterisk, Mom, she whispered. Can you give me a chance to make this right? I reached for her hand. That depends, I said softly. Are you asking for forgiveness or are you asking for an opportunity to grow? Her grip tightened around my fingers. Both, she whispered. Asterisk, for the first time that day. I believed her. Asterisk, Lily held my hand like she was afraid I might slip away if she loosened her grip even a little. There was something raw in her expression, a vulnerability I hadn't seen in years. It reminded me of when she was a child, when scraped knees and broken crayons felt like the end of the world. And my lap was the place she always ran to. Somewhere along the way, she stopped running toward me and started running around me instead. Asterisk, Mom, she said after a long breath. I don't know how to fix all of this at once, but I want to start somewhere. Starting somewhere is enough, I said gently. She hesitated before speaking again. Carter is angry. Really angry, asterisk, that doesn't surprise me. Asterisk, he said. You undermined him, she muttered, imitating his tone. He kept saying, you embarrassed us on purpose. Asterisk. Did you correct him? I asked. Asterisk, not at first, she admitted, guilt clouding her face. I was so overwhelmed I let him rant. But later, after I calmed down, I realized he wasn't upset about Milo or the party. He was upset because he couldn't spin this into something that made him look good. Asterisk, that sounds like him. Asterisk, she nodded reluctantly. He even said maybe we should cut back on how much contact you have with Milo until things settle. Asterisk, my jaw tightened. And what did you say to that? Asterisk, I told him absolutely not. Her voice wavered but held firm. I told him I wouldn't punish my child for an adult problem. I told him that what happened today wasn't your failure, it was mine. Asterisk, I studied her face carefully. And how did he react? Asterisk, he got defensive, she said. Started pacing, blaming, accusing. But then, when he realized I wasn't backing down, he changed the subject to money. He said if people think we needed help, it makes them look weak. So it was never about the kids, I murmured. It was about pride, she said. About image. Asterisk, her voice cracked, and she looked down. I didn't realize until today how much I'd been bending myself to keep his opinions from exploding. Asterisk, I placed a hand on her shoulder. Lily, what you've been living in isn't partnership. It's pressure. Asterisk, her breath trembled. I know. Asterisk, and Emily's influence? Asterisk, she exhaled shakily. She treats her approval like a prize. I didn't realize how much power I'd given her. I wanted her to see me as capable, as organized, as someone who had her life together. Asterisk, and in chasing her approval, I said softly, you forgot you already had mine. Asterisk, that hit her harder than anything else I'd said. Tears spilled before she could blink them away. Asterisk, I'm so sorry, Mom, she whispered. I didn't choose you. I should have chosen you. Asterisk, no, I corrected gently. You should have chosen what was right. That would have included me. Asterisk, she nodded, wiping her cheeks. I want to change things. But I'm scared of what Carter will say. I'm scared of starting fights I don't know how to finish. Asterisk, Lily, I said firmly. You don't have to fight him. You just have to stop surrendering. Asterisk, she absorbed that slowly, like someone tasting a truth they hadn't realized they were hungry for. Asterisk, I want to apologize to Milo, she said. Properly. Not just in a rushed explanation. I want to sit with him. Tell him I made a mistake. Tell him you love him. And that you didn't abandon him. He deserves that honesty. I agreed. And I want to apologize to you, she added, voice trembling. But I don't want it to be just words. I want you to see change. Real change. Asterisk, I will, I said gently. But remember, rebuilding trust is a slow process. Don't rush it just because you feel guilty. She nodded again, more grounded this time. We sat in silence for a moment. Long enough for her breathing to steady and her shoulders to loosen. When she finally spoke again, her voice held a quiet strength I hadn't heard from her in years. Asterisk, I want to handle things with Carter, she said. On my own. Not for him, but for me and for Milo. Asterisk, that's the right choice. Asterisk and Mom. She added hesitantly. Asterisk, yes. Asterisk, can we? Plan something special for Milo together. Not to make up for the party, but to show him we're still us. Asterisk, a warmth spread through me. Of course. Asterisk, she smiled, small, fragile, but real. I think he needs to see the two of us together. Not as an apology, just as family. Asterisk. I took her hand again. Then we'll give him that.
Okay.
Asterisk, and for the first time that day, I saw the woman she could still become. Not the one shaped by pressure or manipulated by others, but the one willing to take responsibility, stand tall, and choose better. She wasn't fully there yet. But she was reaching. Asterisk, and sometimes reaching is the beginning of rising. The next morning arrived with an unusual quiet, not the heavy kind that comes after an argument, but the softer kind that follows a shift, a subtle rearranging of emotional furniture. I woke earlier than usual, made coffee, and stood by the kitchen window watching the lights spill across the yard. It felt like the world had paused just long enough for me to acknowledge the change inside me. Asterisk, at around 10, my phone buzzed. Lily, are you home? Milo wants to see you. I stared at the message for a moment, letting its simplicity sink in. No apologies, no explanations, just honesty. And a request that came not out of guilt, but out of recognition. I replied, yes, come anytime. Asterisk, they arrived 15 minutes later. Lily looked tired, but steady, like someone who had decided to stop running from themselves. Milo, on the other hand, came bounding up the walkway like a burst of pure energy. The moment I opened the door, he threw himself into my arms without hesitation. Asterisk, Nana, I missed you yesterday. Asterisk, I held him close, breathing in the scent of frosting and grass and childhood. I missed you too, sweetheart. Asterisk, he pulled back, eyes wide and earnest. Why weren't you there? Everybody else was. Asterisk, I glanced at Lily. She nodded, giving me silent permission to speak, but also silently promising she would carry her share of the explanation. Asterisk, I wanted to be there, I said gently. Very much, but sometimes grown-ups make choices they later realize weren't the right ones. Asterisk, Milo frowned thoughtfully. Did somebody say you couldn't come? Asterisk, Lily knelt beside him, placing a hand on his small shoulder. I made a mistake, she said softly. I thought I was doing the right thing at the time, but I wasn't. Nana didn't forget you. She didn't choose not to come. I told her not to. Asterisk, his little face crumpled in confusion. But why? Asterisk, Lily swallowed. Because I wasn't thinking clearly. I was worried about what other adults thought, and I forgot what really matters. Asterisk, Milo turned to me again. But you were still there, kind of? That man said you sent him. Asterisk. I smiled. Yes, because I didn't want you to think I wasn't thinking about you. I wanted you to know you were loved. Asterisk, he leaned into me again, hugging me tightly. I knew it was from you. Mom told me. And I showed everybody the helicopter. Asterisk, Lily's eyes softened with both relief and regret. Mom, he's been talking about you since he woke up. Asterisk, we all stepped inside and Milo immediately sat on the living room rug, pulling the helicopter out of his backpack. Want to see what it does? Of course, I said. He spent the next 10 minutes demonstrating every loop, spin, and tumble the toy could perform. Lily watched him with quiet gratitude, grateful he was happy, grateful I was patient, grateful she hadn't broken something she couldn't repair. Asterisk when he finally ran to the kitchen for a snack. Lily sat beside me on the couch. Asterisk, Mom, she said, her voice calmer than yesterday. I spoke to Carter last night after I left your house. Asterisk, and... Asterisk, he blamed you again at first. Said your stunt made us look irresponsible. But when I told him I wasn't going to distance Milo from you, he changed his tone. Asterisk, changed how? Asterisk, he switched from blaming to minimizing. Said he didn't really mean it, that he was just stressed, that he was trying to protect us. She shook her head. But I realized something. Protecting us would have meant supporting me, not pushing me to alienate you. Asterisk, I nodded. That's an important realization. Asterisk, I told him, she continued, that going forward, I'm setting boundaries. With him. With Emily. With anyone who tries to dictate how I treat my mother. Pride warmed my chest, slow and steady. He didn't like hearing it, she added. But he didn't fight as hard as I expected. I think he realized I'm not bending so easily anymore. Asterisk, that's good, I said. Change doesn't have to happen all at once. It just has to be consistent. Asterisk. She looked around the room, the framed photos, the plants, the bookshelves. And when her eyes settled on me again, they held something new. Respect, Mom, she said. Thank you. Not for the money. Not for the party. For yesterday. Asterisk, for what part of yesterday? I asked, genuinely curious. Asterisk, for reminding me who you are and who I can still be. Asterisk, before I could answer. Milo reappeared with a granola bar and an idea. Nana, can we go to the park today? Just us. Asterisk, I looked at Lily. She nodded. Go, he's been wanting that. Asterisk, so we did. We spent the afternoon at the park, laughing, playing, talking. No tension. No expectations. Just family. Asterisk as the sun set and I watched my grandson run across the grass with the helicopter buzzing in circles above him. I realized something important. The party had been a breaking point. But this moment, this quiet, ordinary moment was the beginning of something. Repaired. Not perfect, not polished, but real. And real was enough. Asterisk after Lily left that evening. The house settled into a quiet so deep it almost felt alive. Not empty, just still. A kind of stillness that comes after a door finally opens in a long-shot room, letting in air that should have been there all along. Asterisk, I sat for a while, letting the day wash over me in soft waves. It wasn't victory I felt. It wasn't revenge. It was something steadier, something grounding. Boundaries, real ones. Ones I should have drawn years ago, but didn't. Ones I finally held today. Asterisk the next morning, I woke to soft daylight nudging the curtains. I stretched, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. Maybe months. After making coffee, I sat by the window and waited, not because I expected anything, but because I knew something would come. Asterisk, it arrived in the form of a hesitant knock. Around 10 a.m. Asterisk when I opened the door. Milo stood there, backpack hanging off one shoulder. Hair messy, like he'd run here. His eyes lit up the moment he saw me. Asterisk, Nana. Asterisk, he barreled into me with so much force I staggered back a step. His arms wrapped around my waist, squeezing with all the affection only a child's heart can pour out without hesitation. Asterisk, I missed you yesterday. He mumbled into my sweater. Asterisk, I held him close, breathing in the scent of birthday cake and sunshine and childhood. I missed you too, sweetheart. Asterisk behind him, Lily stood with her hands clasped in front of her, watching us with a mixture of relief and remorse. She had clearly cried again. Her face was softer today, more vulnerable, like she'd stepped out of yesterday's storm and into honesty. Asterisk, can we come in? She asked quietly. I nodded. Once inside, Milo set his backpack on the couch and immediately launched into a detailed explanation of his party. The goats. The mega slide. How one of the cupcakes exploded when a kid squeezed it too hard. And how he'd been practicing with the red helicopter since last night. Asterisk, I smiled through all of it. Grateful he still spoke to me as freely as ever. Untouched by the adult chaos swirling around him. Asterisk when he ran to the kitchen to get a glass of water. Lily approached me slowly. Asterisk, Mom, she said softly. He didn't sleep until he made me promise we'd see you first thing in the morning. My heart melted and clenched at the same time. I told him the truth, she continued. Not the messy adult details, just enough so he wouldn't think you forgot him. Asterisk, what did you say? Asterisk, she took a breath. I told him that grown-ups make mistakes, and that I made one. That you love him and I love him and no one is being pushed away. Asterisk, I nodded. Good, asterisk. Her gaze flicked to Milo, who was now wandering around my living room as if rediscovering it. Then she looked back at me. Asterisk, Mom, she said, voice steady but gentle. I want to talk about yesterday. The whole picture. Asterisk, I'm listening. Asterisk, she pulled out a chair and sat across from me, almost bracing herself. I've been thinking about everything you said, and everything I didn't want to admit. A small weight settled in my chest, not fear, but anticipation. She continued. I've been letting Emily run my life in ways I didn't even realize. It started small, her suggestions, her comments about what looked proper. But over time, I started shaping my choices around what she wanted, even when it hurt the people who actually matter. That's how influence becomes control, I said softly. She nodded. And Carter, I finally saw him clearly yesterday. Not because of the party, but because of how he reacted afterward. He didn't care about Milo's feelings, or mine. He cared about how he looked, about people knowing he needed financial help. That sounds familiar, I murmured. It does, she whispered. And last night, after you and I talked, we argued, not yelling, but real honest. Probably the first honest argument we've had in years. Asterisk and asterisk, he said, I embarrassed him. I said he embarrassed himself. And when he said you were stirring drama, I told him this wasn't about you. At all, it was about me finally facing the truth. Asterisk, how did he take that? Asterisk, she looked down. He doesn't like the new version of me. Asterisk, people who benefit from your silence rarely like your voice. I said asterisk. Her eyes lifted, shining with quiet determination. I don't want to go back to the old version. Asterisk. That's a good start. Asterisk. She exhaled. Steadier now. I'm not asking you to fix my marriage. I'm not asking you to take sides. I'm asking for one thing. Patience. While I untangled the mess I've let grow. Asterisk. I can give you patience, I said gently. As long as you keep choosing honesty over convenience. I will, she promised. At that moment, Milo came running back, clutching the helicopter. Asterisk, double quotes, Nana, can we play with it together? I want to show you the tricks. Asterisk, I smiled and opened my arms. Of course. Asterisk, as he climbed onto my lap. Lily watched us with a look I hadn't seen on her in a very long time. Respect mixed with gratitude and something else. Asterisk, recognition. She finally understood my place. And she finally wanted to protect it.